How's it going, everyone? It's Sam, the head of digital assets at Vaneck. Just said some stuff that is pretty shocking. I think it's going to go over a lot of heads, but it is really big news, and it shows that about 3% of the countries in the world that we know of are mining Bitcoin already. There are some countries that are using it to get around trade. They are very bullish over at Vaneck, and right now, Bitcoin is looking quite bullish. You can see Bitcoin's trying to break out above 69.5. We've ran into 69.2 several times throughout the day today, getting rejected, but just trying to break out for the fourth or fifth time right here. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Also, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to Margex. I've talked about this a lot because I think this is the time to be trading cryptocurrencies on leverage. This is the time where you can still get massive gains, but this isn't going to be around forever. Eventually, Bitcoin's going to be at a six-figure price, and a lot of the gains are going to be behind us. But right now, we're still trying to break out. We just had 3 higher lows and 3 higher highs, and now we're rallying up trying to break through here. Big week ahead as well, so there's going to be a lot of volatility. Check out the link underneath the video to Margex. You can also bet on the US election over on Margex. But let's start here. The Tether CEO actually just disclosed that they've been buying more Bitcoin for a while. Actually, they were using their profits each quarter to buy Bitcoin, and the wallet address that had been associated with them stopped buying Bitcoin earlier this year. But now we know that they actually have bought some more Bitcoin. They now hold 82,454 Bitcoin, up a significant amount from the last time we had heard of about 75,354. So they bought, 7,100 more Bitcoin, which obviously is a huge amount. They have been printing money over at Tether by putting their $100 billion in T-bills. So they're doing quite well over there, shifting some of their profits from dirty USD over to Bitcoin. You can also see Vaneck. This, a lot of people have been talking about throughout the day. The head of digital assets at Vaneck. I'll show you the clip here in a bit. But he says 3 of the 6 new members of BRICS, UAE, Argentina, and Ethiopia, are mining Bitcoin with government resources. I think this goes over a lot of people's heads. They see, Vaneck, head of digital assets, talking about Bitcoin, talk about the position that it's in, where the price is going to go. He does have a high price target for Bitcoin, but they just hear that, but they don't hear this. Again, 3 of the 6 new members of BRICS are mining Bitcoin with government resources. Okay, let's just go through some of the countries we know are mining Bitcoin right now, which means they're contributing to the network. They're stacking Bitcoin at the end of the day. UAE, okay, very important nation there for crypto and the future of the world, in my opinion. Argentina, Ethiopia, El Salvador, we know that they're mining Bitcoin as well. They're very pro-Bitcoin. The Kingdom of Bhutan has made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars over the last few years mining Bitcoin. And to be clear, I think there are a lot of other countries as well. Vaneck actually talked about Russia creating an initiative to start mining Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure that the US is also mining Bitcoin somewhere, somehow. I think China's probably looking at it, or probably already doing it. I think there are a handful of other countries that are doing this as well. Just they're keeping it very quiet right now. But that means 3-4% are obviously mining Bitcoin. A lot of countries are just behind the times. They're not even paying attention to this. They have other issues to worry about. But this is pretty big news. I mean, this shows the way that the world is going. More countries are mining it themselves, putting manpower, putting energy, putting money up to try to mine some Bitcoin to contribute to the network, to better understand what's going on here. We also know that there are a lot of countries that have been buying Bitcoin because honestly, that's simpler, I think. But mining Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin and holding as countries. Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund is apparently now investing in Bitcoin mining infrastructure throughout BRICS nations with the idea of settling global trade in Bitcoin. This is according to Vaneck again. Pretty big news. People aren't going to pay attention to it, and then they're going to say, oh, wow, there are 20 different countries that have Bitcoin, that own Bitcoin, or that mine Bitcoin. And keep in mind, too, I think there are probably a lot more that own through proxies. Right? Like especially when you look at the politicians, how many politicians have some allocation to MicroStrategy now, and will have more allocation over time as MicroStrategy gets added to the NASDAQ 100, as they get added to the S&P 500. There are going to be a lot of companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet in the coming years, in my opinion. And yeah, there's going to be this, I think there's going to be a race to get your hands on Bitcoin. I mean, right now we're seeing a race by the ETFs, but I would not be surprised if the next 4-year cycle, assuming we still go through 4-year cycles, is an arms race from countries trying to buy Bitcoin. Like, can't you see that as the next major narrative? Russia is buying Bitcoin, the US is buying Bitcoin, China is buying Bitcoin, and that's what pushes us up even further, maybe into the high 6 figures or even low 7 figures. Just makes sense to me. We have Bitcoin dominance continuing to rally up at 59.81%, so close to 60% here. Crazy how far we've come. I mean, look, we have 0.2% left. We're down all the way below 40%. So yeah, 99% of the way there basically right now. Let me play this clip for a minute. This is from Vaneck. This is from Matthew Siegel, their head of digital assets there.
Our bet is that this is a very bullish setup for Bitcoin into the election. We saw the exact same pattern in 2020 where Bitcoin lagged with low volatility. And then once a winner was announced, we had a high vol rally as new buyers come into this market. And that's the great thing about Bitcoin, is that every day there's new buyers being born. It's kind of like the video game industry. The olds who hate it die off. The new folks are buying it. And what we think is that once the election result is finalized, Moody's is going to downgrade U.S. sovereign debt, and that could be a catalyst for Bitcoin.
Doesn't gold correlate with the dollar and with M2 as well? And gold and Bitcoin seemed like the correlation broke down a couple of times recently.
Bitcoin is a chameleon. Its correlations change over time. It's hard to predict what it's going to be correlated with over the short term, over the long term.
But you really say it's because of the 21 million and fixed amount is out there, therefore the debasement of the currency favors that. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's a non-U.S. asset. It's an emerging markets asset. And while we were all hyperventilating about the election over the last week, BRICS had a conference in Russia. There's 6 new members of BRICS this year. So BRICS GDP is now greater than the combined GDP of G7. Of the 6 new members, 3 of them, Argentina, the UAE, and Ethiopia, are now mining Bitcoin with government resources. So there's tremendous urgency outside of the U.S. to find a way to circumvent the irresponsible fiscal policy that we've been running here in the U.S. In fact, Russia announced an initiative. Their sovereign wealth fund is going to invest in a regional initiative to build Bitcoin mining and AI infrastructure throughout BRICS, with an idea of settling global trade in Bitcoin. So look, someday, I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, Putin's going to die. We're going to look to reintegrate some of these countries into the world financial system, and they're going to be trading with Bitcoin. What are we going to be doing?
Okay.
How crazy is that?
Yeah. Are you stunned?
No, I'm just processing.
You're processing.
Processing.
When will that...
I'm going to throw on the title that he's stunned. This is funny.
Be complete.
The processing?
Yes, so that you can make a comment.
When is Bitcoin going to be complete?
I have no idea. He sounds, what you think it's going to be a $100,000 asset soon, 200.
Yes. You know, the smallest ever trough to peak rally for a Bitcoin cycle was 2,000%. If we do half of that, that'd be 1,000%. That'd be roughly 180,000.
When does this all go down? I mean, not down. When does this happen?
When did it all happen?
I think after the election will be a significant catalyst. You can see it front page of the Wall Street Journal talking about debt and deficit concerns.
Right.
Like Moody's is telegraphing this. Right. They want to downgrade sovereigns who have 20
like Kathy Woods.
What's that?
Like Kathy Wood.
My old boss?
Yeah. How do you feel about her predictions?
I don't think about them very much.
I mean, do you think she's right? 500,000 is where she's at. By very soon.
We have a model that assumes that by 2050, this is very long term, that Bitcoin becomes a reserve asset that's used in global trade and held by global central banks at a very modest 2% weight. And in that model, we arrive at a $3 million price target for Bitcoin. Now, that sounds, extreme, but that's a 16% compound annual growth rate for a couple decades. That's not really that extreme. So into the millions over the medium term is a high conviction call.
So let me know what you think about all this underneath the video. Let me know if you're that bullish on Bitcoin, if you think it's going to the millions. I have had people that have been in the markets, in the traditional markets for decades that ask me, do you really think that Bitcoin's going to hit a 7-figure price in our lifetimes? And I say, heck yeah. I mean, when you just look at how exponential growth happens, like even if it doesn't outperform the market, it's still going to get into the 7-figure range in our lifetime. Let me know your thoughts though underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to trade crypto, there is the link underneath the video to Margex. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.